Well. We made it to episode 2 of the Good Anime Palette podcast. It's been a good journey so far, but we're glad that you're still on this journey. As always, I am Will, and on my right, I've got, depending, you can't tell because this is an audio-only podcast. I've got Jason with me too.
That's a very long introduction, Will.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to still find my way to introduce this podcast. There's many ways. I mean, again, find palettes, right? We can go long, we can go short, fast and furious, or just take our time with it.
Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift, right? Drift Kings.
Yeah, I imagine they did a Fast and Furious anime. Actually, they kind of do have one already.
Initial D, right?
Oh, well, I was actually going to say Skates, but... All right, so it's been a while. It's been 2 weeks since our last recording, so we're glad that you're still sticking with us. But during the past 2 weeks, quite a lot of things has happened. Not just in terms of us, watching new shows or catching up on stuff that we've had on our lists, but also quite a few things within the world of anime and manga news.
So usually when we plan our podcast, we have a docket, and always the news story. Other than I guess episode 0 had 3 stories, it was always just one, or hey, we could cut this out.
Yeah, it got to a point where we looked at what was happening in the world of news within anime, and it's like, okay, we'll talk about this 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then we'll move on to the next one, whatever. We're actually kind of in a bind right now
because our news segment is overflowing, and what we've been watching has been rather slim.
Yeah, there's been a lot of updates in the past 2 weeks in terms of not just new shows showing up or manga or series that are ending, but also the fact that there may be a few controversial tidbits that have also happened in the past 2 weeks, which we'll cover to some extent.
And also, what we've been watching, we watched a lot of the seasonal stuff. We will get into one of them, but I feel like it's just the same stuff, nothing much else to add to that, so we just cut a lot of those seasonal discussions out.
Yeah, the stuff, for example, like Cells at Work Black, we've talked about how good and how fun it is, but there really is no need to harp on what happens every episode. So just go watch the show, and then afterwards you can let us know if you enjoyed it. There really is no need for us to flesh out more of the story, more of the plot. We want to focus on stuff that really is titillating and really does grab people by the
the cojones, the
cajones, the cajones. All right, so I think we should start off with stuff that we've been watching lately. I mean, outside of the seasonals, I think you spent some time watching other shows, or is it still very much like keeping up on the seasonal track?
So, I was keeping up on the seasonal stuff, and then on Valentine's Day of all days, an anime showed up. Like, random Pokemon showed up.
A wild anime just showed up.
A wild anime just showed up.
All right, well, what show are you talking about here?
It's called Vlad Love, and 6 episodes of it is currently released on Crunchyroll, and it got released on Valentine's Day in Tokyo.
Vlad Love, right? So
yeah.
Is it like just some sort of like, is it a Russian romance slice of life, or?
It is a little bit of a romance. So what it is based...
Not Russian. No Russian.
No. Do you like vampires, Will?
Yeah, of course I do.
You like Twilight, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Team Belle.
I don't even... Oh, yeah, that's the girl, right?
That's the meme,
That's Kristen Stewart, right?
Yes.
I don't know.
Don't worry. Is Twilight the anime is coming out in winter 2021.
Yeah, produced by Will and Jason, I guess. I don't know. Are you singing the OP or me?
I'll do the ending.
Okay, cool. I'll do the OP. Yeah, a lot of pressure.
So Vlad Love, you mentioned it dropped on Valentine's Day. It's actually Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Wow.
February 14th, midnight. And it's about essentially how do I describe it? It's mainly women or high school girls, because high school, right? It stars a girl who is a vampire and her counterpart, which is a high school girl who has a fetish for donating blood. And the reason why this is relevant is because the vampire doesn't want to kill anything, but still needs to drink blood. And then...
Oh, so it's an altruistic kind of vampire.
Yeah, it's look, the show is super weird. It's super weird. Like their live action stuff, live action footage, superimposed with anime footage on top of one another. It's really weird.
Wait. There's a cross between live and animated within the same.
There is helicopter aerial shots of a city, and that's like I don't. It's made by the guy who did Ghost in the Shell. You know Ghost in the Shell, right? The super famous, anime movie, the one I love a lot. He created and directed and wrote part of this series. This series, if I had to describe it to someone without talking about the plot points, it is the zaniness and fourth wall breaking of Deadpool mixed with the styles of storytelling of the Monogatari series,
which is really good.
And Animaniacs. Yeah. Yes, Will?
I think they actually revitalized. They rebooted the Animaniacs.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I think they actually have like a new series.
Is it in Japanese anime form?
I'm sure if we were to watch it on Netflix Japan, they probably would have it in Japanese. Which I actually found out. If you were actually looking for anime on no shit Sherlock, right? You could actually look up anime on Netflix Japan. A lot of them don't have English subs. It's just Japanese, and for some reason they have Japanese dubs and then the Japanese subs under. Just it's like you're speaking Japanese with Japanese subs. I don't understand why you couldn't just license to have English in Japan too.
I don't know, but tomato. I mean, whatever, right? So
what's tomato in Japanese, Jason?
Tomato.
Tomato, yes.
There you go. Great. I'm so good at Japanese. Ask me anything about Japanese culture. So I watched 4 of the 6 episodes that were released. There are 2 OPs which they alternate every other episode. So one for the odds, one for the evens. And all I can say is that it's a massive reference anime, and they troll the crap out of everyone. So, you've seen Death Parade, Will, I know.
I absolutely fucking love Death Parade.
The opening for Death Parade, would you say, is very different compared to the content of the anime itself?
Oh, dude, the opening for Death Parade is super hype.
And fun.
It's a fun time, and then you start watching the episode, and just it just hits you like a fucking. It's like a pool ball, like a billiard ball, just hits you in the face.
Right. This does that, except it's the opposite. The opening of the first episode is super dramatic, super cryptic with the symbolism and everything, and then the show starts, and it's just there's so many references. They make a Fallout 4 reference. They make a My Hero Academia reference, a Darkstalkers Morrigan reference, of course, because vampires. But Morrigan is a succubus.
Succubus, yes.
And then there's a Mega Man reference. There's a Virtual Fighter reference from all those video games. There's Street Fighter references everywhere. So then it's referencing everything everywhere. And then the fourth wall breaking is insane. Like one of the characters who is the school nurse who just so happens to also know how to extract blood out of people, like a hematologist, I think.
Yeah.
And she just at one point stares at the screen like the viewer and just starts talking as if you were there. There is a running gag where the main character has an internal monologue, so she's not speaking, but then it just so happens everyone around her can hear what she says and comments on it. There are manga panels that move in and out like some Animaniacs type stuff. It's weird. It's super weird.
But at the same time, you mentioned that with the different opening songs per odd and even numbered episode, the fact that they have all these different sort of character or property references within the episodes, it sounds like a very well put together, meticulous kind of show. So you're enjoying it, right? You're having fun watching it.
So here's the thing.
Or is fun a really broad word here?
Fun is a very broad word here. It has currently my anime list rating of 5.98, which for those who don't go on my anime list, that score is absurdly low compared to just in general.
It's almost like a 1 out of 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
and it is not indicative of the quality of the anime, but it is also not that much better.
Do you feel like because of like maybe certain tropes or maybe certain aspects of the show that it just gets unfairly judged? Like, you know how like certain genres tends to score like maybe 1.5 or maybe 1 point lower, or if it's like a shonen and it's super hyped, then it immediately gets like an extra point in the rating, even though it's been done before and it's generic as heck.
You mean like my belief that Yuri and girl love stuff, and I guess yaoi boy love stuff, always gets ranked like 1 point lower than it actually is?
Yeah, like that. Like, do you like it's? I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to compare apples to apples here, right? But it's more like, do you feel that there might be some unfair treatment of the property?
And there's also Yuri undertones here, but I think it's more of a bait than actually being explicit.
Not the actual central theme to
No. It just so happens that everyone's women and the main two heroines are like living together. So it's just, it's weird. I don't know how else to say it. You should check it out just to see what it's all about. The tone is all over the place, but I think that's the point. I would have not expected this to come from the same person who did Ghost in the Shell.
Right, and this is all on Crunchyroll, right? So you mentioned 6 episodes were released. Is it because it's a 6-episode?
No. They come out every week from here on out.
It's just that 6 of them are out.
Yes,
right, okay.
In one go.
Right.
I think the episode 1 premiered in early December, and then
They just did a 6-episode drop on Crunchyroll.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well,
Yep.
if you got got a sub to Crunchyroll, go ahead and check it out. 6 episodes. This is from the sounds of it, it could be a fun time. You might be able to pick up maybe some holes in the show, but nonetheless, it should still be a fun time, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So that's anything else you've been watching outside of Flat Love, or is it more just like the seasonals that we've both been watching?
The seasonal stuff that we've been watching.
Cool. Okay, but at least Flat is seasonal, right? Because it came out
yes,
officially before, because the episode 1 dropped before, but everything else dropped just last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say though, the 25th of February is High Rise Invasion on Netflix, and I will check that out because I read the manga and it should be cool.
I want to check that out too.
So look forward to that next episode.
Cool. Okay. So I've been terrible when it comes to watching. I mean, I've watched my seasonals and stuff, but there really isn't all that much I need to update on, like Attack on Titan, Doctor Stone, that kind of stuff. They're still good. Still watch them. But there has been a show that I've been watching that's not actually seasonal. It actually is a show that came out a while ago. And I haven't told Jason what it is because it's just one of those little games.
Such a troll.
It's one of those games that I like to play where I'm watching something and I like to see him squirm when he tries to figure out what it is.
It really bothered me for half a day, and then I got over it. And then throughout the next couple of days, you were just, hey, this show, really good.
What is it? Is it like the 5 stages of acceptance where it's like...
Grief, you mean?
Yeah, grief. Where it's like you have like...
what is it?
I forgot the 5 steps, but I think now is it like acceptance now for you, or...
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So... Do you remember a while ago, we were talking about music and anime music videos, and one of the videos we talked about was Shelter, that was done by Porter Robinson and Madion.
Yes.
So do you remember which studio did Shelter?
A1.
A1. And the reason why Porter Robinson picked A1 is because they made his most favorite anime.
Yeah.
And I decided, you know what, like... It's on Netflix.
Oh, God.
I just needed to see the flower that bloomed. It was fucking Anohana. I watched Anohana last week.
Fuck. We were supposed to watch that.
I know, but...
Okay. Oh, God. This is live, right? This is new news to me. Oh, my God. Hold on. I'm trying to process this right now.
So...
You watched all of it, right?
I watched all of it in 2 days.
Did you cry like a little girl?
So you know when we talked about Violet Evergarden in episode 10, right?
Yes.
Right? So imagine that, but every episode is episode 10 of Violet Evergarden. I cried like a baby boy. I cried so much in the last episode. It was I mean there were points in the episodes where like I was like you feel the bullets just like swelling in my eyes and ready to just bawl, and then the episode ends. I'm like, okay, I've made it through.
You lied to me. You said it wasn't on my list.
It isn't.
It is.
is it on your plan? Okay, it was.
I mean, I didn't watch it, obviously, so it's on my plan to watch list. But you
Okay.
said it wasn't on my list.
Maybe it was because of how many shows you have on your total list that it didn't actually load a lot of them.
Yeah, you have to really scroll down several
Yeah.
times.
I
I'm not proud of it, but I'm also proud of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the show is very different from what I'm used to watching because. So I was looking through Netflix and I realized, okay, so I've already watched Black Lagoon, I've watched Gurren Lagann, I've watched Kill la Kill, I've watched Dorohedoro, Devilman Crybaby, and I've read the manga for Deadman Wonderland and Tokyo Ghoul. So a lot of the more heavy, dark, edgy kind of shit, I've already watched. There's no need for me to try and find anything else that's dark and edgy. Well, there's a plethora of other shows on Netflix, right? There's like A Place for the Universe, there's Carol and Tuesday. There's a lot more sort of light and fluffy stuff. So I thought, maybe I'll check something out. Then I saw Anohana on the front page of my Netflix.
I'm like reeling back in my chair. Sorry, it sounds like I might have farted. No, it's just the leather.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna kick it back and hear this. Okay, we'll continue.
I've never cried so much watching a show. Like legit, it was actually at one point like uncontrollable crying because of how emotional certain episodes got. Now it sounds like this is something you probably should avoid because I don't think everybody wants to subscribe to a cry fest. It can be emotionally destructive. It really did wreck me as soon as I finished watching it. It actually made me question a lot of things in my life, wondering where my place is in this universe, and really do I really mean a lot to the grand scheme of things?
I actually think people might think that you're trolling, but I know that you genuinely. Yeah, okay.
You understand what I mean, right? Like it was a really heavy hitting show, not because it was like action packed and dramatic and stuff. It was just a very sweet and wholesome show, but that it followed a very sad story.
It is basically, in my mind, because I haven't seen it, but I will eventually, and I guess now I have to expedite it.
You have to watch it. Yep.
It is the Clanad principle of you're gonna bawl. You're gonna feel emotions. So you're
funny enough, both seasons of Clannad and Clannad After Story are on Netflix.
Oh, great. Mystery anime number 2. Bring it.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is out there now. Maybe.
Okay, so I should watch Anohana. I've always wanted to watch it.
The music is amazing.
I've heard so many good things.
The OP is so sweet, and then anytime I hear the ending for Anohana.
Wait, the ED?
Yes. So here's the thing. You know how like I am religiously against watching
skip intro, skip credits.
I always do that, right? Not this time.
Oh shit! Did that break you?
Every single episode I watched from beginning to end. Did not skip an opening or an ending, which is probably why I cried every single time because the ending is it's so sweet. It's so gorgeous, but it just reminds you of how sad this fucking story is.
Listeners, I want to cement this in the history of this podcast and my friendship and brotherhood between Will and I. I think we broke Will. I think we got it.
It's fucking happened.
Back it up, boys.
Yeah,
back it up.
Let's go. Okay, episode over. The podcast is finally done.
Yeah, just pick up the stuff. we got him.
No, you understand. Like you understand that with me, I like watching. Like I'm a shonen fanboy. I'm an edgelord. I like watching shit where people get fucked up. I like watching things that tend to have more fucked up themes. This is a complete 180 to my usual palettes because it's first of all, it's got bright, beautiful colors. Well drawn. It's A1 Pictures. They do good shit.
So are you saying that you're going to paint the world now not with black, gray, and white, but with vivid colors now?
Look, the fact that I actually listened to both the opening and the ending for every episode, I'm questioning a lot of things in my life.
You're
now.
A changed man, Will.
Yeah. So I guess that. Oh, and speaking of which, then because of that, because the director and the producers for the show also did Toradora. A couple years before that, so I watched 1 or 2 episodes of it. This is okay. If anything, I'm just gonna stick with Anohana, and that's it.
Wait, that's it? I was about to say, where do you go from here? Sorry, that was really loud.
Maybe Clannad. I have been watching A Place Further in the Universe, which is also another good
Wait,
show. That's
when did this?
this
what-
happened on 2 days ago.
How much of a place for the universe?
2 episodes.
So they haven't gone to the.
No.
Okay,
I think she got on the train. That was it so far. Not spoiling. But I think I'm ready to get more into the slice of life emotional shit.
I'm.
Even
The silence is marked by my.
Even an edgelord needs a hug every now and then. Okay.
Yeah, you do get a hug. It's just surrounded by. It's just the Iron Maiden hug, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, spikes and barbed wire and shit.
But
watch Anohana for sure. Again, it comes with a warning. If you feel that you might be a bit too emotionally frail after watching one episode, I understand if you want to put it aside because it can hurt you. It can emotionally destroy you.
But it's rewarding, isn't it?
I'll say this: it's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Done. Okay,
Yeah.
fuck it. Let's go.
At the very least, a 9.
Okay. If this can make you feel that way, speaking of shonens, do you know what got our blood boiling, listeners? Will and I watched Jujutsu Kaisen episode 17. We heard the memes before on Reddit and everywhere about how awesome this episode was.
All I gotta say is girl power.
Fucking awesome episode, bro.
I think actually a lot of outlets for like anime discussion forums and news have been talking about how the issue with some shonen series is the representation and the treatment of female characters. I think that Jujutsu Kaisen did a really good job in trying to balance that shit out. Obviously, the central character is still male. There's still a lot of things we haven't seen from the other male characters, but I think they're doing a very good job in showing that, we're not like Bleach. We don't treat our female characters like shit. And I think it's done a very, very good job. Oh my god, that episode was so good. The episode was entertaining as fuck.
Yeah, it just got really hyped, and it doesn't help that the episode before that regarding the guys was such a stark contrast to everything. Oh, it's just so good, dude.
They kick ass. Some of my favorite characters are like I
don't give a shit about all the guy characters now.
I don't. We know they're strong. Cool. But are they like as strong as the women in the show? No.
No, they're not. Yeah. It was really good.
Yeah. But again though, like from the manga readers of Jujutsu Kaisen, they mentioned that so far they haven't reached that peak. We haven't reached the pinnacle of Jujutsu Kaisen where it would actually help to propel, maybe even explode manga sales.
So, according to friends who have read the manga
and read it as well, it's basically one of the more current arcs, which is called the Shibuya Incident, and that one has been running for well over 60 chapters, which is quite long for an arc.
Very, very long for an arc, and they just said that you need to watch it. When it ever gets adapted, you need to watch. You need to sit down and get hyped. Basically,
I mean, we could talk about the manga sales and all that. We'll probably get into that later. But the fact that people say that it hasn't had that Demon Slayer episode effect yet, we're just waiting to see what it is, how hype it is, and how much bigger this fucking show gets.
Yeah. All right. So I have other mystery surprises have come up. Will is this another time?
Find out in the next episode of the Good Anime Palette podcast. Usually you'll find it'll probably be something that's on Netflix. But again, given how extensive your plan to watch list is, you probably would be able to guess it next time because once you've now figured out what I've been watching lately, I mean, like outside of that, I've also been watching Iruma-kun, I've been watching Food Wars. I'm thinking of starting Haikyuu. So there's a lot of things that I'm playing catch up on. I mean, again, other shows that's on Netflix I haven't watched, like March Comes Like a Lion, Your Lie in April, those things.
All good shows. I actually thought you would have watched Your Lie in April before you would watch Anohana, but I guess you never know, right?
Well, I mean, Anohana has already completely destroyed me, so I'm ready. I'm ready for Your Lie in April. I'm probably gonna cry again, but I'm fine. I'm a strong person. I can do this.
Oh my, there is so much silence coming from my end so far in this episode.
This is not scripted.
I'm like legit shocked. I don't know what to do.
Well, here you go. I mean, next thing you know, next episode.
Can we just move on? God damn it.
Next episode, Jason tells me he's watched all of Black Lagoon. You've watched all of Devilman Crybaby.
Yeah, so I'm gonna fight back, right? Retaliation. Isn't that how it is now?
Yeah, just keep me on my toes. I'll just pleasantly surprise me.
Oh, it's just guerrilla warfare between you and I now.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think that pretty much covers up the shows that we have been watching. A lot of seasonals, a couple of gems that we've been exploring that have been on our plan to watch list. So we're going to have a quick transition over to looking into the world of anime news. Welcome to the Anime News Network. No, I'm joking. That's trademarked. I can't use that.
Yeah, you can't use that. Jesus Christ, do we have to censor it?
Well, to be fair, actually, Are copyright laws really hard in Japan? I think they are, actually.
They're super hardcore about it.
Cool. I'm not gonna do the comments of William Wong do not
Reflect a good anime palette podcast.
Okay, all right. Well,
Okay, we do get a lot of our news from Anime News Network.
One of which is actually really interesting, right? So, if you remember us talking about ratings and databases for manga and anime, one of the biggest platforms we use is My Anime List, or MAL for short. Recently, a big sort of transition, merger, what do you want to call it? It's
Investment.
So a huge investment has come into the MAL platform, in which large publishers known as, would you say they're the big three of
Oh wow! Okay, yeah, definitely. They're titans. Yeah,
yeah. So we've got the three, which some of you will probably know all three. Otherwise you might know a few others. So we have Shueisha, probably one of the more well known ones for running Weekly Shonen Jump (WSJ). We also have Kodansha, who run a similarly named Weekly Shonen magazine. And then we have someone that doesn't sound like you know much, but they actually produced some of the more popular manga and anime series, like for example, Mob Psycho 100, Komi-san, 20th Century Boys, Dorohedoro, Fly Me to the Moon, Shogakukan. That is the other studio. So all three studios have actually invested into My Anime List. So now I think it's like through a third party allotment. I don't know how they're divvying up the shares, or like the sort of total ownership within the company.
Basically, Japan is pumping a lot of money into My Anime List. And there's a lot of, I guess, online speculation as to what does this mean. Some people are more optimistic in saying, well, then a lot of the issues that people have with My Anime List, such as the fact that the website looks like it is made in the 2000s, might have an updated look. The fact that there are some user features that are not supported in general. The fact that the app that got released, the My Anime List app that got released on Android and iOS, is very under-featured because, for example, they don't have a manga section. They only have an anime section.
It's very, very light. There's a lot of it within the UI, as well as access to their database, which there's a lot of gaps.
Yeah, there's no forum. You can't access the forum through the app, so you have to do it through a web browser, which is not...
It's purely a Google search, but for manga and anime, and you don't have all the stuff. Just for anime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So people are saying good things that, maybe this, surge of money would do good. But then a lot of people are saying, okay, what about advertisements? What about the darker side of all these?
But that kind of shit's always going to happen, right? I mean, especially when you have money involved, you're going to find ways where companies are going to try and make more money. I mean, you can say that through this, they're trying to corner the market, but what else do you expect, right? My Anime List alone was not going to be able to support itself this long without any further developments. They needed to have more money come in. So I think this is it's a good thing, especially from a business standpoint. It's definitely a good thing.
I think this is a wait and see type of thing. But to me, unlike my real personality, I'm more optimistic rather than pessimistic about the way things turn out.
I mean, obviously, with the new money that's being injected into my anime list, we're hoping that the platform runs better. It's easier for us to actually interact with the app, so that we don't always have to use it from a desktop. It could be cool. I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah. Let's see how it goes. So, just going on to our second piece of news, real quick. Horimiya.
This is all you because I still haven't watched it yet. I've only watched 2 episodes. I think,
isn't it good? Isn't it good, Will? Wait. So now that you have been
shut up,
corrupted by the fluffiness, have you looked at Horimiya in a new light? Have you reassessed it?
Let's do this step by step, okay? So
okay.
First, I'm going to.
So it's a 12-step program, right?
Yeah. So first, I'm going to watch Clannad, followed by Clannad After Story.
Wait, I need to do that too.
Okay, and after that, I'm going to watch Your Lie in April.
Okay.
And after that, I'm going to go into anime movies and start watching things like A Silent Voice.
Yeah, my favorite movie of all
5
time.
5 centimeters per second, or is that what it's called?
Yeah, 5 centimeters per second. Yes, very good.
A few other shows too. A few other movies, just to really, make myself as emotional and fluffy as possible. And then maybe we can talk about watching Horimiya.
Okay, so I love Horimiya, the manga. I love Horimiya, the anime. It's currently airing this season. Everyone should watch it. I will stop talking about it because I wouldn't stop talking about it. Except the manga is ending soon. In fact, super soon. And it's ending after 10 years of serialization and will end in March. And I'm a bit conflicted, but also 10 years is a pretty long run, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of manga series tend to run for... I mean, even Demon Slayer only ran for 4 years.
Yeah, I know.
But, I mean, you can't really compare the two. But
it's a rom-com. I think rom-coms, to have legs like that, is actually pretty difficult.
You can get pretty dry after a while. I mean, especially if you're talking about, like, long-standing series or even, like, mainstream shows where a lot of it is centered around romantic comedy. It can get dry after like a season or two. So the fact that this has been running for 10 years, one, it shows it's got a very strong fan base, and 2, it also shows that the writer is flexible enough to be able to create a story that has lasted the test of time.
Yeah, agreed, definitely. So manga's ending next month, and that's about it.
Oh, actually, in terms of the anime that I've been watching, I forgot to mention, I also watched Thus Spoke Rohan Kishibe, which is the OVA from JoJo.
Oh, okay. We're going back, huh?
Yeah, pretty cool. Won't say much about it. Just watch it if you're a JoJo fan. If you're not a JoJo fan, don't watch it because you're gonna get lost.
Okay. So that's the end of that news with Horimiya, and then a bunch of announcements with a new movie showed up and new anime seasons. So let's start with Demon Slayer, since we mentioned that briefly just now.
Demon Slayer has been, I mean, for lack of a better word, slaying everything.
Yeah.
Manga, killing it. Movies, killing it. And now it's got a new season.
Season 2, known as the Entertainment District or the Red Light District arc. And I have read through that, so I know what's up. It should be pretty cool.
How many seasons do you think, realistically, Demon Slayer has left? I mean, it ended at around 200-ish chapters? 220?
So you're putting that question to me, so then it's now cemented in history whether or not my bet or my guess is correct.
Look through your crystal ball, Jason, and tell me what you think about the future of Demon Slayer.
So it will either be 4 or 5 seasons and replace any one of those seasons with maybe a set of 2-3 movies. That is also possible, because originally I would have not said anything about anime movies ever until the Mugen Train, Infinity Train arc movie is decimating box office. And at one point, it was the highest grossing box office movie at the time around the world. That's insane. So
I mean, it just beat which movie was holding the record? Your Name? No, Your Name was second. It beat Your Name.
I thought you mean Spirited Away.
Spirited Away was right. No,
wait. People are gonna like yell at us for not getting this correct. But
bottom line is, it's broken the record. It is the highest grossing anime movie of all time.
And the Red Light District should be pretty funny and pretty action packed. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, no matter how it turns out, whether it's good, bad, anything in between, you can't deny that the manga artist, the creator of Demon Slayer, she's had a wonderful, wonderful period of time.
And she made a list, Will.
Yeah, she's made it to the the Times 100. Look at
Times
her.
100 next list. Yeah.
Very, very, very good on her. I mean, dude, the manga's been running for 4 years, 2016, 2020. The anime movie itself came out end of last year. And, bruh, like, you don't go around...
Wait. The anime ended?
The anime movie.
Oh, yeah.
You don't go around selling well over 100 million copies of manga and then breaking box office records and not get recognition for it.
Right. So, if you were to create this manga and shatter all these records, you would just retire, wouldn't you? You would just be like, pack it up, let's go. Hey, it's all good.
Dude, I actually, I mean, depending on how royalties and how all the different things matriculate, I don't know how much money the mangaka got, but
She probably got a lot.
she probably got a lot. Enough for her to just set sail and just, enjoy the rest. No, but I think when people run on that sort of train where, hey, things are going really well, I want to keep doing this art, I want to keep doing this, I'm going to make another story.
Yes, so she has said on record that the mangaka for Demon Slayer, is going to have a sci-fi romantic comedy as her next work.
You know I love me some sci-fi. And now that I'm starting to get into more slice of life rom-com stuff, this sounds like it could be something I'm interested in. I don't know anything about it yet because it's literally fresh off the press. But.
Yeah, it's literally, this is what I'm thinking, and you can say whatever you want because you are the mangaka of Demon Slayer. You've done shonen basically to perfection that I thought was not even possible. I thought that was My Hero Academia, but I guess I was wrong. And now, yeah, sure. Yeah, if you want to do it, try. No problem.
Yeah,
I believe you.
Whatever happens, whether you do like sci-fi or not, whether you do like rom-coms or not, just put respect on her name. She's done a fucking amazing job for the anime industry.
So, if we could segue real quick, another person that I respect a lot is Mamoru Osoda.
Hosoda, yeah. Very famous. Well, I mean, I say very famous, but generally when you compare like his movies to other movies, probably doesn't get as much appeal, but he has made some stellar properties.
So, Wolf Children,
Boy and the Beast,
Summer Wars, The Girl Who Left Through Time. I've seen most of this director's catalog.
and the best movie in his catalog, which I think is the first Digimon movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
That was fantastic. But now they've just announced that he's going to be working on a new movie, Belle.
That is releasing in summer 2021, and a 30 to 45 second teaser was released on YouTube, and
It looks sick.
It is so gorgeous.
What's funny was that like his quote in the interview was that based on all the works he's done in the past, it was only possible like through those experiences that he was able to build this new movie, this new property, because the story revolves around a girl who gets kind of disillusioned with reality and jumps into a virtual world where
Wait,
she
like Serial Experiment Lane,
it's
right?
like Digimon.
Oh, like Digimon. Oh,
Yeah.
right. Like
Yeah.
that property,
It's
right?
basically it's Digimon Part 2, like the spiritual successor. But really, it's because of the fact that he's worked on sort of anamorph kind of movies, worked on fucking like virtual reality kind of properties as well. Glued them together, and you have Belle.
So let's see how that goes. Summer.
Just from the trailer alone, that's fucking fantastic. I'm pretty excited for it. I don't give him enough credit or respect though, because I just have not watched that many anime movies. That's the problem I have.
Yeah,
So
we've been talking about it
not just
before.
Hosoda, but also like Satoshi Kon, Shinkai Makoto. Like I have not watched many at all, and I feel like I need to.
Hey, get on that train, bro.
Yeah, get on the train for sure. So we're gonna wrap this up real quick. Well,
real quick.
We'll
right.
try to, because this last bit of news is probably the heftiest one. Now, another property that came out that got animated for the season is Mushoku Tensei, or Jobless Reincarnation. So it's an isekai that kind of follows a similar formula in terms of a person gets killed by a truck and then transported to another world.
Truck-kun
is back.
Yet again, is just destroying.
Truck-kun is at it again. Whatever. I mean, if it's a trope, it's a trope. They're going to do this until someone decides they're going to try and find something more tropey.
Just in case people don't understand what Truck-kun means, it just so happens that it's a trope because it's been done to death, where trucks have destroyed relationships or killed people.
They would kill the main character, and thus the spirit would then get transformed into another world. Hence, it's usually the start of any isekais. I mean, that's how it started with ReZero. It's how it started with Konosuba.
Yeah, okay.
The truck-kun is everywhere.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Actually, do you ever notice what brand the truck is? Is it a Toyota?
Toyota?
Is
I
it
don't know.
Toyota?
I
Is it
don't.
Suzuki?
I have no idea, dude.
Imagine it was an. I don't know.
No. This is
I don't want to defame any other car breakers in Japan. It'd just be funny if we found one. Then imagine they then roll a car. It's like, are you tired of isekais?
Oh Jesus! No! Don't go there. We just spiked real hard there.
Yeah. Anyways, so now that we've talked about some of the more controversial stuff from my side, now we're going to move on to the real controversy of Jobless reincarnation. So there's been a bit of news. Recently, there have been some publishers that decided, you know what, like we're actually going to not continue localizing this manga. So then that meant that the manga artist needs to find new publishers. And then there's also the issue of the fact that, well, the original source is not a manga but a light novel. And so Seven Seas Entertainment, which is the English publisher for this series,
Is my favorite English publisher. Just FYI.
Yeah. So one of the situations that have come up is when it came to localizing their series, a lot of things either got left out or rewritten or mistranslated. Now, there are eminently some controversial topics within Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation, usually revolving around sexual violence, adultery.
You've seen part of it, so
I'm up to episode 6, I believe. Yeah, I'm up to episode 6, and I have seen some of it. And granted, it is not very tasteful. There are certain parts of the show where it's like the morals are kind of there but not there at the same time. Like they tell you, like they tell you what they're doing wrong whilst they're doing it.
yeah.
That's essentially how I would describe what watching Jobless Reincarnation is. So
Right.
there are certain scenes, certain parts of the light novel which, you know, it's all written, so you don't really see anything, but it's extremely graphic. And then when translated into the anime, into the manga, it gets rewritten. Certain things get changed. So instead of, for example, like a character being just describing something, like a certain incident as, you know, sexually violent and adulterous, they would then change it so that the actions of this suspect, this person, rather than being sexually violent and adulterous, would be more cheating and womanizing. So making it seem much more like light and therefore forgivable compared to how it was originally written in the light novel.
Yep. And then so that's, you know, there's a bunch of adulterous themes in all of pop culture media. So what makes this any different? What has people's stance on that?
I don't know. I think, I mean, I don't really like saying the word. I actually don't like saying the word at all, but the word rape comes up quite a lot in the light novel, but in the sense that it's explaining like the bad actions, the sins, and basically the violence that's been happening in certain parts. But when translated into the manga, it just kind of gets pushed to the side. It's like, oh, it's not that. It's just promiscuity. It's just you know, a guy acting out his fantasy, which I find a lot of issue with, and that's actually then like led to why it got banned in China. I think the anime was actually taken off of China's one of China's biggest streaming platforms, Bilibili, because it just basically just showed a lot of immorality, and it just kind of went against what people felt as like standard behavior for humans.
So then that in of itself would have been news, except I think a Chinese influencer.
Yeah, his name was Lex Burner. I think like a kind of like a YouTuber slash on one of the social media platforms, big influencer over there.
And then what he did was condemn the series. And then within his fan base, there were apparently people who were into him watching just the anime stuff. and then there is a segment of it that only watches his parts that he watches live action stuff. And essentially, those two sides started bickering with each other because the anime people are saying, how dare you insult this anime that is super successful and super popular even within China? And then the fans of his live action stuff is saying he has a right, he can say whatever he wants. And then to the point where Lex Burner himself had to issue an apology to, like, fan the flames. And then it got taken down from Bilibili. And then it's just sponsors, Chinese sponsors pulled out of the service. It's such a mess.
I don't think it helped that the creator of the light novel also came out and said, like, well, people can like what they like. Haters gonna hate, blah blah blah. I'm gonna keep doing this because this is representative of what I want in my art. This is what I want to write a story about. So if you don't understand it, then you can appreciate something else instead.
You don't. I'm not saying
you don't fan the flames.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's not. He's adding fuel to the fire.
Yes.
What? Like, what do you feel on the anime though?
Like, I don't know why people will enjoy it. I feel like it's very much like any other. It's, again, just because I'm now starting to branch into the more slice of life emotional stuff doesn't mean that I'm going to now start watching isekais. I never really cared for them, and it's still something that I'm not all that hyped about.
I want to be very clear. This is the third time that you have mentioned, oh, now that I'm into slice of life comedy rom-coms, maybe I can do this. Is this going to be a thing now, Will? Is this a moment?
I'm just trying to tell you that I'm a bigger, better person now.
Yes, you are a better, bigger person. Do I have to change your Discord title from Edgelord Sama to
the fluffy Edgelord?
No,
fluffy Lord,
or like maybe Edgelord Sama ?
Only 50%, half Lord, yeah,
half ghoul, right?
Okay,
all right,
yeah.
Okay.
So we don't want to touch too much onto this topic because there is a little controversy that we feel could be like socially charged, politically charged. It's not really our place to talk about it, but we do want to make sure that if anybody in China is listening to this or anybody that has any sort of feelings about the show, let's just remove all the political stuff, all the social stuff from it, and just enjoy the show or commentate on the show for what it is. There's some good merit to it. It's got a good opening. The animation's done well. The story's decent. It's just not quite my cup of tea just yet. That's all I have to say about it.
Just yet. So are you going to watch it? Continue?
Well, I mean, I'm already halfway. Well, I mean, I don't know how many episodes it's got for this season, but I've already watched six episodes, so I'll probably keep watching it.
All right. I guess you'll report in when you do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's see if I actually do have any other secret shows I do want to watch first before I move on to that.
Way to rub it in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could do it too, man. It's all you. There's so much stuff on your list that you can start cracking it open and just chiseling away.
Yeah, but nothing that you would get the same reaction to when you told me about Anohana, basically.
That's true. I think it's shocking that I even watched Anohana in the first place, and now I'm actually in love with it.
Okay. So I think that wraps up our news segment.
Yeah, as you said, it was quite heavy. A lot has happened, but hopefully, we will be able to keep you updated, bring in more news. It's just nice to know that even with COVID going on, there's still a lot of developments within the industry, good or bad. We would like to see more good than bad, but we can't pick and choose, right? So hopefully, we'll get some better news in the coming weeks. And yeah, looking forward to some of the new adaptations that come through. I think we're not too far away from the next season, spring 2021.
Yeah, in April, yeah.
So yeah, we're getting about 6 weeks away from it. So a lot of stuff is airing. So we'll probably do a quick rundown in terms of what's coming out in the next episode, just to make sure that everybody is ready to log onto Crunchyroll or Netflix and start catching up on some new shows starting from April.
All right, and we're just gonna go take a break and then get on to our main discussion topic. Right?
Yeah, so we'll introduce the topic in a bit. But yeah, this is probably a good time to spend a minute to talk about how this episode was sponsored by Nika Coffee Malt Whiskey.
Oh
the
my god!
best
Don't no
Nika-
no no! Stop!
No, we just had no. Yeah, I'll cut this out. Don't worry. I'll
Sure.
bleep this all out.
No, that's not gonna happen. You're trolling me
I'm
all
trying
episode.
so hard to get a sponsor, but we'll see.
Why? Why is it such a big deal?
Because I want to talk. I want to do that.
Notice me, senpai. Is essentially
I
what
want
you're
people,
doing.
I want people to notice that I noticed the sponsor. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Let that sink in. Okay. Well, we'll get back to you in just a minute, and we will start bringing in the hot and heavy episode topic of this episode. For the topic.
For the topic. Let's go. Well, how's it going?
Not bad. I'm still elated about your shocked discovery that I've been watching Anohana.
Yeah, enjoy it while you can, bro.
I definitely can. But I think now it's time for our listeners to enjoy the main topic of discussion.
Yeah,
for this episode.
enough about our feud, right? Let's get on to the main topic.
I don't know why you're getting so salty, bro. You kicked my ass in the After Dark episode when you were able to correctly guess more anime than my list.
Yeah, but we didn't make a bet out of it other than a gentleman's wager.
Hey, you still took that W, okay?
All right, I'll take the W. I'll take it.
So we're going to get into the main topic for today, which is a discussion of something that's, whenever we talk about anime, it seems to be perpetuated not just within the anime circles, but also I guess in more mainstream media, more mainstream sort of circles as well. We're talking about the Big Three, specifically the Shonen Big Three. So when we talk about the Big Three, we kind of need to backtrack a little bit and explain what the Shonen Big Three is. So there was a period of time during the 2000s, I guess you include the late 90s as well, where three shows, of course, that's why it's called the Big Three, three shows had just dominated the market, just dominated everybody's minds.
And also include the manga too.
Yes, because the whole reason why they're all so big is because of the fact that it derived from the manga that Shonen Jump was pushing. So the three series we're talking about specifically, and I believe that most, if not all of you, have either watched, read, or even heard of these shows. These are Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach. And I've watched all three. I haven't completed all of them. I've watched pretty much all the episodes minus the filler arcs of Naruto. I'm pretty caught up when it comes to One Piece. And Bleach, I kind of finished by the time we reached the Aizen arc.
I finished Bleach to the point, the Aizen arc, which is the third major. Is that
basically right after the Soul Society arc?
Yeah.
The main one, which is where Bleach was super popular,
and then it goes downhill from there.
Super downhill.
The One Piece, I have read up to a certain point, but you have read way past and to the point I can't remember. Naruto, I've also read very far, but before the big war, let's just say.
Okay, so you get to the part right before it gets boring.
Yeah, so I guess I avoided all the pitfalls of...
You've watched and read all you needed to for the Big Three. So why are these three shows or these three properties called the Big Three?
That's a very good question, Will.
Right. So the thing is, right, when we're talking about shows, popularity, success, there's a lot of metrics as to how to quantify a specific property. We're talking about, anime viewership, manga sales, distributions. We're talking about rankings. And it's really hard to group all of them together to definitively say what is the best manga, the best anime. If we're talking, for example, ratings, if we look at my anime list, the best anime there is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
And Attack on Titan, the final season is Very close.
Very, very close. It's literally like down to like second decimal points of like separation.
And it might overtake it at one point.
But then would you say though that Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is like the best show? The one where like if everybody is going to watch one show, it has to be that.
Some people would say that.
Some people would.
I would not.
Yeah.
But it's also Brotherhood is also very good.
Yeah. So it's an amazing show. Rightfully so, it should be ranked pretty high, but for one reason or another, it's never historically been considered to be part of the Big Three. Now, if we were to look into how the Big Three came about, the three shows we talked about, right? One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto. All three of them are Shueisha properties, the publishing company that manages all these different manga properties. So they were basically run through Shonen Jump, through WSJ, which is their magazine, which is short for Weekly Shonen Jump. So there was a period of time during the 2000s where either one of those series was at the top of manga sales, at the top of the ratings.
I would say a lot of people do not, in the West at least, do not care too much about these weekly magazines or weekly manga magazines, but they would have still heard of Shonen Jump.
Yeah, and it's because of the fact that during that time, a lot of shows that were getting adapted were big Shonen Jump properties.
They are a juggernaut. They're trendsetters. They literally tell you guys, the audience viewers, hey, this is the next hot property that would be serialized into anime for the most part.
Yeah, and outside of those, like the three that we talked about, I mean, there are other shows. Like, like Death Note was Shonen Jump, right? Death Note is super popular.
Jujutsu Kaisen right now is Shonen Jump.
Insanely popular. But we what we want to do for this segment is essentially dissect the history of the Big Three, define the term, and really talk about how it applies to the contemporary world now, like what it means to be top three, or even if the Big Three still exists. Because whenever we talk about Big Three, it's always those three shows, right? One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto. It's always those three. But you richly said as well, right? Bleach up until the Soul Society arc was great, and then it just tapered off. So there's a lot of discussion in terms of how these shows managed to make it into a top three. Like, is it because of legacy and longevity? Is it because of the fact that a lot of people who like these shows attach a lot of personal emotion and feelings to them, or is it really just a big marketing ploy? And Shonen Jump decided just to run with it and really make bank on these three properties.
So, Will, I know the answer to this question, but I'm just going to ask on behalf of the viewers. What is Shonen Big Three in Japanese? It is a Japanese term, isn't it? They coined it, didn't they?
Funny enough, the reason why, well, one, my Japanese isn't great, but two, I don't think the Shonen Jump Big Three actually exists as a coined term in Japan.
Wait, what?
Funny enough that because they are Japanese properties, you think, oh, they're all Shonen Jump. They must have come from Shonen. Shonen must have made this so that we know what the definitive top three is, right? No, that's actually not the case, because of the fact that even though these manga were running concurrently and also dominating the manga sales charts, it was only really until they got adapted and then sent over to the West that all of a sudden their popularity started skyrocketing. I think whilst we talk about how, of course, manga being from Japan, anime as well, there must be like a lot of popularity comes from Japan. Therefore, that's why we're able to really say, hey, if Japan approves of this, so does the rest of the world. But when we're asking anime fans who talk about One Piece, talk about Bleach, talk about Naruto, I don't think a lot of them have actually read the manga.
I think a good section has, but definitely a lot more audience for the anime rather than the manga. And I also want to reiterate that back then, when Will and I were little youngins, the anime market was very different than it is now. And back then, there was only either two avenues in which you would get an adaptation. Either it was an anime original, as in there was no previous property in which it was adapted from. It was purely conceived by the creator, director, producer, whoever. Or the more common route is it was adapted based on the manga of the same name.
I would also argue as well that like certain series, the appeal for it to go beyond just getting on screen, but also being able to generate merchandise, get actual like sales from like toys, from cards, from games and models and stuff.
Yeah, so it is extremely important to know that it's actually a popular misconception that people think anime is extremely profitable, and it is to a certain degree nowadays, and even so back then. But I want to reiterate that the anime is actually, to my knowledge, sometimes even lose money, but they recoup that cost either through royalties, through merchandise, or essentially increasing the popularity of the manga. So even though the anime may sometimes not even be good, as long as it puts itself out there and people see it, they might seek out the source. So light novels, web novels that dominate the adaptation market nowadays, webtoons, there's just so many avenues in which you can adapt stuff from. Back then, it was either manga or original, and that was it.
And nowadays as well, especially with streaming platforms like Crunchyroll, Funimation, Netflix, you can maybe make an argument for now, like there is actually more money to be made within anime, within the industry. But that means we're talking about stuff that's happened in the last couple of years, right? Specifically with the Big Three concept. This was during the 2000s when streaming wasn't a thing. So a lot of times, like you really needed to find ways to generate hype, generate interest in your property, therefore make money off that. In a way, you could almost say that anime was like a large driver for like the marketing, advertising, and revenue generating for the manga.
Definitely. And it is also important to say that a lot of people watch the anime and don't read the manga, but then proceeded to seek out not only the manga that was adapted from, but then be like, oh, okay, what's next? Or, oh, I finished watching this anime, it was really good, what's next? So it not only propels its own property that it was adapted from or the source to greater heights, but also just the whole industry in general.
Yeah, back onto what I was saying about being able to sell toys and merchandise and all that. During the late 90s, mid 2000s, this was also a period of time when a lot of shows, say for example, like Pokemon and Digimon, Beyblade, Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not sure, you probably remember this as well. If I say Bakuso Kyodai Let's Go.
4-wheel drive?
Yeah. Like back then, like that was a Gundam as well.
Oh,
you
Gundam,
watched the show,
Gundam.
you read the manga, but a lot of the stuff you attach to those shows is the merchandise, the toys, the cards, the collectibles you can get that derive from them. So loads of people I knew of had Gundam models. Loads of friends bought Beyblades. I don't know anybody that has not collected Pokemon cards or even played a Pokemon game in their life. So when we talk about popularity, a lot of times during the mid 2000s, early 90s, there really was like a need to try and find other revenue generators to really try and propel your property. It was make or break at the time.
And to expand on that idea, anime now comes out every season, and there is 50 to 80 at any given point of every season. So every 4 months. Every 3 months. My math is bad. There would be a new plethora of anime out there. Back then, the quantity was way fewer.
And it also it's indicative of how seasons roll out now, right? Because a lot of properties now, they usually follow like a 12 to 24 episode kind of curve system, whereas back then a lot of series we're talking about in one go they could be spewing anywhere from 50 to 100 episodes. I mean, goddamn, like One Piece is running at 900 episodes plus.
Yeah,
there were 750 plus episodes of Naruto.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. It's a
different ballgame now, because of the fact that there's so much more manga that you just do not have the time to build on something. You need to pump it out, generate interest. If your studio is big enough, you pump another property through them, and then once enough time has passed, you bring back the previous property for a second season or a movie, and you just keep on running that interest, make more money, make more shows. That's just the way the industry looks now. Way different from what it was in the early 90s, early 2000s.
And back then, there was less competition. As we just said, there were less anime that would come out all the time. So therefore, there, by definition, was less competition. So everyone got a bigger piece of that pie. However, now, everything is more cutthroat. And I think also Weekly Shonen Jump still being extremely relevant in dictating a good portion of the direction of the industry, in of itself has rankings of their properties and are extremely cutthroat to determine whether or not you succeed or fail, not only within the manga market, but also within the anime market as well. So we will probably get into Weekly Shonen Jump quite a bit in this segment.
Well, rightly so. I mean, the big three we're talking about, all three of them are Shonen Jump properties, right? So the one thing I do want to get at, though, is we mentioned about popularity, we mentioned about sales, we mentioned about the distribution of the shows and being able to rise above the competition. So when we talk about big three, rightly so, do you think that the three we mentioned, One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, that this is the de facto big three?
When I first heard of that term, it was always associated with these three properties. Back then, these three properties in their heyday was all not all that there is, but stealing the limelight. There will be properties here and there, like Evangelion.
Well, I mean, if we go back a little bit earlier, right? Like, let's say they go back into the 90s, like, we had shows like Gundam. We had shows like Dragon Ball Z. We had Sailor Moon.
Yeah, of course.
And those were massive. I mean, the fact that their appeal transcends time. They're still, like, I'd say a lot of, like, Western audiences, their first interaction with manga and anime was those shows.
Yeah, and even, for example, Dragon Ball Z had a movie. Was it last year? No, it should be 2019.
They have
Broly.
Broly. They also have Superman. No, Superman. Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z, like Super S or whatever it's called. There was a new season of it.
And then Sailor Moon has
Crystal. Yeah,
Crystal, which is their sort of remastered version. And also, they have actually a new movie that's coming out. In fact, this season.
So when we talk about shows like those, right, like DBZ, like Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, even Gundam, those were at the time, like, at the height of manga and anime. Why weren't those shows considered big three? Do you think that it's because of the fact that when it comes to Western audiences picking up shows, that there was a lot more proliferation for Naruto, One Piece, Bleach compared to Dragon Ball Z? And because as a kid, like, watching Sunday TV in the mornings, there were always reruns of Dragon Ball Z. There were always reruns of Sailor Moon. But they also play concurrently with the other shows, the other big three. So this is where it gets a little bit hard to really say why those three shows in particular are the big three. Because no matter what you ask anybody, they'll say those are the big three.
I think a good portion of it has to do with age. So, for example, I did watch Dragon Ball Z. I did watch parts of Sailor Moon when I was growing up. Like,
Slam Dunk, too.
Slam Dunk. But I didn't quite understand what I was watching as much as, it was anime, or sometimes people would even call it cartoons. And it was just, okay, this is just the thing that you put in front of the TV, so I will watch it. But then when I was a teenager, to really start getting into anime and manga, One Piece, Naruto, Bleach was the trend, was the hot thing.
So do you think that it was like the acceptance and understanding of anime coincided perfectly with like the popularity of those shows, and when it met at the apex, that was like, this is it. This is right here.
I think it is
Everest.
I think it is akin to video games and how Atari or Super Nintendo, you're very nostalgic towards that fact, and that's where people's love for video games blossomed from there on out. I feel everyone, not everyone, but it is, if you throw a stick somewhere, you'll hit someone who is into anime and manga through these three properties, the big three.
Yeah, much like when you were talking about Nintendo, it's like you just list a few properties. Like you talk about Mario, you talk about like Zelda, you talk about Donkey Kong. It's like, there are a lot of new games that come out from Nintendo that are great, but no matter what, you will always go back to those, even though they came out so goddamn long ago.
I mean, for God's sakes, that Area 51 raid from, 2-3 years ago, the guy was doing a Naruto run. The Naruto run is like a meme in of itself.
I think Naruto, like the whole show, like Shippuden ended in 2017, 2018.
Boruto begs to differ, but I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, so it still exists. So that's the when we talk about the big three, though, like rightly so, those three were popular, but I think that their height of popularity is very different from each other. I mean, the fact that One Piece is still running, it's been running for 23 years. I think it started in 1997, so 24 years now. Then it's got over 1,000 chapters of manga, over 900 episodes of anime with some filler, and it's consistently the top, if not in the top 3 best-selling manga. I mean, of course, now that we have Demon Slayer coming in, it's changed the landscape a bit. But actually, no, there was another manga series that actually beat One Piece, Kingdom.
Oh, right. Okay.
Kingdom actually sold more, but I mean, that's specifically within Japan.
Yeah.
Kingdom is very popular in Japan.
Very popular in Japan.
But it's not as popular elsewhere. And I mean, for me, being Chinese, it's focused on the Chinese kingdoms and all that. I've seen a lot of it already from like Chinese and Hong Kong media.
Me too. Yeah.
So I'm not like that privy to it anyway. So and then now we talk about Naruto. Ran for almost 20 years itself. Ended with Shippuden. We're talking about Naruto. We're not talking about that godforsaken Boruto bullshit. If you are a Boruto fan, I'm sorry that you have to watch this just to keep your love of Naruto. Just rewatch Shippuden. It's much better.
Or just watch something else. Just there's so much good anime out there.
Read Chainsaw Man. Watch Jujutsu Kaisen.
Right. And in fact, both of those properties are Weekly Shonen Jump. So they dictate a lot of the popular series. As we said, Demon Slayer is Weekly Shonen Jump. I mean, we can just spend a good 10 minutes just naming series that you have definitely either heard of or consumed the anime or consumed the manga or all three.
Right. So when we talk about big three, though, right, outside of the three that we've already been talking about multiple times, do you think that the big three exists as a term for anime and manga now, or is it forever attached to One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto?
I think the internet and myself, to a small degree, would always try to see, who is third, second, and first? You know, the trifecta, right? I think
best things come in threes, right?
Right, and
except for Half-Life.
Except for Half-Life. Okay, and then the Shonen Jump. Oh, okay. Because the big three was associated with Shonen Jump. So what is the big three of Shonen Jump today? I mean, we even went through that discussion.
No, it was hard. I mean, like, hard in the sense that, like, what do you include in it? Because I feel like when you talk about the shows, they have to follow a kind of similar formula, right? It's got to have some sort of journey/adventure. There's got to be some doofus of a main character that grows and becomes insanely overpowered, and they go along their journey and they pick up new comrades to seek the ultimate goal, whatever that may be, whether it's to become, the fire ninja of whatever the fuck village, Hidden Leaf Village, or you want to be like the best death god in the world of Bleach, or you want to find One Piece. To this day, I have no idea what the fuck One Piece is, but I keep reading it.
I think it's a piece of one thing.
Yeah.
A
whole, not a half. A whole piece.
Yeah, pirates.
People keep reading it, and I love it. It's great.
Yeah, you've read a lot of it.
So with shows like this, like there seems to be like a similar kind of formula for why these shows are popular. So if we were to try to translate that into now, like 2021, or like the 2020th century, the decade, are there any shows that you feel would be able to fit in it? Or do you think that there might be some shows that, like, as much as they are popular, they don't necessarily fit within the big three formula?
So there is definitely some series that during the heyday of the big three that I would either put right alongside it or they got released before or after. So I think Hunter x Hunter is a very well-known property, maybe way less so now, but back then I read it all the time. I loved it to bits. The remaster, a lot of people like in the West and in Asia. I mean,
But do you think the appeal it had in the West was as high as the three?
no, because I feel it was the big three was more accessible. It was very easy to determine who is good, who is bad. You know, it was very easy to say, the term of the power of friendship will conquer all. This is that. Like the big three, like harps on that all the time. So, like Fairy Tale, for example, is also another well-known series, and actually has a lot of these traits. So I would also put that in the realm of the big three. I would also.
But the only issue with Fairy Tale that is it's not Shueisha, is it? It's not Shonen Jump.
So here's the thing. At least I'm not sure. I think so. Is it? Like double check that while. So okay, I just feel like, first of all, the themes are very accessible. They're very action oriented, as dictated by the shonen genre. It is catered to teenagers, which are
It's the major demographic that subscribe to anime and
was like,
manga.
yeah, exactly. And we're not even talking like the 18 to 25 with disposable income.
I'm talking like 13 to 18, 13 to 17 maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just there was so much stuff out there that were good, but then just were not in question compared to these big three.
Yeah, just running back on what you asked about Fairy Tale. Fairy Tale is Kodansha.
Oh, okay, I see.
So
Okay.
they run in Weekly Shonen Magazine, not Weekly Shonen Jump. But
Right.
I think it makes for a good argument, though, right? Even though it's not a Shonen Jump property, it still follows a similar formula. Therefore, like it should have some sort of consideration for the big three. So that's why we kind of want to just break apart this big three. Like, is it specifically for Shonen Jump slash like Shueisha properties, or do we have some flexibility and open things up? Because if we want to talk about super popular shows, I mean, one mistake that Shueisha did was not sign up Attack on Titan, and that is a massive property.
I would say though, Attack on Titan is a bit more mature than
Pushing seinen, it's a seinen, right?
seinen. You're right. So if shonen,
Seinen being more like adult-oriented kind of shows and manga, as opposed to shonen, because shonen means like teenager siulin,
Yeah.
in Chinese, which is like a younger audience.
So here's the thing. Back then, there was a huge emphasis on depicting not as much violence, even though I would say that there is quite a bit of violence in all of these big three. But that definition of what is accepted as general violence has changed significantly now. For example, I think Weekly Shonen Jump, being the juggernaut of the industry that it is, has certain properties now. Either has ended very recently or has still ongoing that contains a hell of a lot of violence.
I mean, Jujutsu Kaisen already, right? We have the Chainsaw Man adaptation coming soon. To some extent, you would also include Demon Slayer in there.
Yeah, and it is, I think it's just the maturity of the industry to just expand on that idea. Like, if shonen back then was okay with this level of violence, I guess the industry grew up in a weird way, and this is now what is accepted.
I think it's also the fact that censorship and maturity content laws have kind of been eased a bit, right? I mean, the fact that you have a plethora of more subscription-based kind of platforms like HBO, it meant that people had more flexibility in showing on screen more lewd, more gratuitous.
Like
more...
Game of Thrones is a big thing,
Yeah.
and Game of Thrones is hella violent. Is
Narcos on Netflix is also violent, and also it's got a lot of mature content, but this is the reason why like people love the show, because it feels a little bit more real. It doesn't really sort of beat around the bush and hide things. It really just wants to show you this is the full scape of how crazy this world is. We're not cutting corners. And I think that like nowadays manga and anime are or at least anime specifically is starting to push that a little bit. Not go like full frontal like crazy violence and nudity, but pushing it to the point where maybe seeing a little bit of that stuff is fine. It's more accepted.
And on top of that, there is the class what you would deem as the classical shonen genre, like Black Clover, I think is very indicative of the traditional classic shonen characteristics. I think My Hero Academia is also in that category of just really good. I mean, I can't really speak too much of Black Clover, but for My Hero Academia, I know because I've watched all of it, it's good. It is heart-pumping, inspirational.
There's a character that starts from nothing and becomes something.
Power of love and friendship.
And using that to fight against adversity.
There's a very obvious good and bad person.
Yeah, you need to be able to see like the difference between good and evil. And sometimes you might play a little bit on both sides, maybe make an anti-hero and whatnot, but generally the formula doesn't really sway.
You mean like the Sasuke?
Yeah. you come back and be a better person, and it turns out there's someone even better than you.
Yeah, then you lose
I mean, the show's called Naruto, not Sasuke, so...
Yeah, sure. Not Sakura?
No, she'll never get her own standalone
so
show.
Useless.
Just watch. Now that I said that, they're going to make a Sakura spinoff now.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be funny.
Yeah, so actually, now that we talked about some of the more popular running shows now, it's hard to include... actually, can you include Demon Slayer into the Big Three conversation? Because the manga is over, but the anime is still running.
I would...
Like, how meticulous do we have to be with listing out the requirements to be in a Big Three?
So we have been trying to figure this out off air beforehand. What we would say is the Big Three. I thought about it long and hard, and there are some obvious candidates, but at the end of the day, the Big Three is the Big Three. There is no new, no old. It's just those three properties. It's just historical to me.
Yeah, and if, say, for example, you were to say, like for the sake of the fact that the shows are quite recent, we'll just say it anyway, right? You could make an argument for Demon Slayer. You can make an argument for My Hero Academia. Heck, you can make an argument for Haikyuu.
Definitely.
Right. Even though Haikyuu ended last year, I think it's still fresh in our memories. We should still be allowed to...
And the anime is not finished.
Oh, is it not?
No, it's not.
To the Top is not the final... Oh, okay.
No, not even close.
So 85 episodes, that's not... We're not done yet.
No.
I think I'll have to... I'll have to start watching it soon then.
Yeah, you have to. It's really good.
So now then this begs the other question then. So we talked about those shows, right? We talked about Demon Slayer. We talked about My Hero Academia. We talked about Haikyuu. Do we still include One Piece in the conversation? Because it's still running, and it's still selling immensely well. Granted, it's been destroyed by Demon Slayer, but it's still in the top 10.
Yeah, I would consider it Big Three. I mean, would you consider an athlete when they have retired to have lost their legacy that they have back in the heyday? I wouldn't say so.
True, but then like it'd be hard to make an argument for them in this case because of the fact that if you were to put said athlete with two other contemporary athletes, do you think they'd be able to compete at the same level right now? We're comparing stuff that happened back in time compared to what's happening right now.
Right, but to quote yourself, One Piece is still relevant in the manga numbers. So if it were to, fade out from existence, then yes, I would agree with your statement. But it's holding its own decently considering how long it has been in publication.
So when we use the term Big Three, then we're going to have multiple Big Threes, right? We're going to have like the Golden Age Big Three, which is One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto. And then we now have the New Age Big Three, which would include One Piece along with a mixture of other shows we just mentioned.
The problem that I have when I was trying to consider what would be in the Big Three, modern Big Three, is the fact that Weekly Shonen Jump being an actual physical magazine that comes out every week and that gets released all over Japan in convenience stores and everything so you can buy them. I feel like also the fact that digital manga is now more relevant than ever. The fact that you can self-publish your own manga on the internet without any backing whatsoever and still get a following like One Punch Man, like Mob Psycho.
It's crazy to think that they're both done by the same person.
And he's called The One. He's called One, right?
One Punch Man and Mob Psycho are fantastic.
It is fantastic.
Don't watch season 2 One Punch Man.
I mean, just watch. I would say watch season 2 so you know how awesome season 1 was.
Just ride the highs and the lows of One Punch Man, yeah.
And then you just mellow out, I guess.
Actually,
right?
yeah, speaking of which, would you throw in stuff like One Punch Man? Would you throw in stuff like, what else? Jujutsu Kaisen. Do you think that would be considered in the big three now?
The stickler in me would say Jujutsu Kaisen was in Weekly Shonen Jump. One Punch Man was not. So if we be really anal retentive about details, then no, because it's not in Shonen Jump. So I guess the purist would say it is the top 3 ranked in Shonen Weekly Jump. I just feel like that definition is so unusable nowadays. Unless if you say it's like the Big Ten, not talking about sports schools, which is hilarious because there's 11 schools in the Big Ten or 12 schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the point is the ball game is just completely different. The industry is so much larger. The niche is not a niche that much anymore. And even so, there are multiple niches within the anime community and manga community. Just because your anime sells well does not mean the manga sells well, and vice versa. And I need to talk about a very, very popular series that you, Will, and I read and loved, Spy X Family.
Oh man, this is exactly why you bring up the whole digital manga thing is great, because it's so easy to just pick up a show now, pick up a manga and just start reading, because of the fact that you have the Shonen Jump app, you have the Manga Plus app.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard for you just to pick it up, read a couple chapters that are free, and then if you want to read more, you either subscribe to the service or you buy the digital you actually buy the digital manga through the app.
Yeah, and to make matters even more convoluted and hard to track, you can buy individual chapters now as opposed to buying a whole volume like traditionally you would.
So rather than dropping like $7.99 for a full volume, you could just drop a couple cents for.
You're being optimistic here.
No. They are like some volumes are digital volumes. I'm not talking paperback.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Some of the volumes that I buy are $10-12.
Yeah, and you're also talking about series that have maybe 20 to 30 volumes.
Yeah.
Manga can be expensive.
And it's a very expensive hobby, but I love it to death. So it is just crazy to me that there are so many different avenues, so many possibilities, and at the end of the day, everyone always harps on, well, there can only be 3. There can only be 3rd, 2nd, and 1st, and that's it. Oh, it can only be from Shonen Jump, when there is no reason why it should be other than traditionally it has been these 3. And it's not even the Japanese population. I mean, I'm not Japanese, and I can't speak for all Japanese people. But the fact that no one really cares about or knows what Shonen Big Three is in general, or coin it as a Western term, just dictates how much it is irrelevant there.
Yeah. I think everybody needs to. I mean, like traditionally, you've seen it with everything, right? When we talk about like shows, it's like okay, there's like a second runner up, a first runner up, and there's a champion. If you're talking about sports, there's always going to be a gold, silver, and bronze medal, right? So if you talk about manga and anime as well, there has to be a list of 3, right? You have the 10, and then you have the top 3. These are the ones that like are like head above heels of everyone else. You can't compete against them, except that if we're talking about sales for manga in the past year, again, specifically for Japan, because Japan is very good when it comes to keeping up their stats. Not so much other places, but This is what we're here for. So, according to Oricon, which keeps track of all manga sales within Japan, if we're talking about the top three, now I'll bend it a little bit because one of them is not a Shueisha property. It's actually it's Kingdom. Kingdom is not Shueisha. So for the sake of making things a little simple, we'll take that one out. The top three best-selling manga of 2020. In third was Haikyuu, which sold 7.2 million copies. 7.2 sounds great. But over a year, you would expect like something to really blow you out of the water, sell like high double digit in the millions, right? Second place was crazy because it was One Piece. And One Piece only barely sold more. They only sold 500,000 copies more than Haikyuu. And the number one was none other than Demon Slayer, which sold over 82 million copies of manga in Japan alone.
So when we were talking about the big three, we did some rough calculations and discovered that even if you were to put One Piece, Bleach, Naruto at its peak in terms of selling volumes of manga, they cannot...
Over the course of how many chapters, right?
Yeah, they can't even beat half of what Demon Slayer did in 1 year.
And Demon Slayer has been running for 4 years, has sold well over 120 million copies.
And it's ended. One Piece has not ended.
Yeah. But the other thing about One Piece as well is back in 2011, when it was still super popular, that year Oricon mentioned that One Piece had sold 40 million copies, which is a fantastic number. Fast forward to 2018, sales had dropped down to 8. So it's been a steady decline. So I think what's happened now is that we're slowly moving away from considering, this is from me as well, I don't speak on anyone else's behalf, but this is where I think that One Piece is slowly moving away from being that top tier must include in Big Three, and more moving towards the GOAT / classic kind of series, that kind of category, the greatest of all time kind of category. Because as much as it's still popular, I don't know how its popularity is now when you weigh it up against the likes of Haikyuu, the likes of Demon Slayer, and right now, Jujutsu Kaisen has also been killing it too.
So there is a rough graphic of Jujutsu Kaisen selling, 30 million copies for its in circulation for the first 50.
By the time it got to its 14th volume, it sold 30 million copies.
And for those of you who don't know, that number is absurd.
Jujutsu Kaisen started in 2018. So roughly, like, just to make it simple, it averaged 10 million copies a year. That alone would sell more than One Piece in recent times. In fact, within like the first 15 volumes, One Piece had sold 37 million copies.
That's
Jujutsu Kaisen's on track to break that record.
That's insanity. So another thing that we want to reiterate, I guess the last thing that we would harp on, is the direction and relevancy, which we have been talking about, the relevancy of Weekly Shonen Jump. We looked at the current lineup of Weekly Shonen Jump, and when we look at last year's lineup versus this year's lineup, there is actually a lot of cause for concern. Because, for example, Haikyuu, very well known all over the world, anime is awesome, manga should be equally awesome, has ended last year. Demon Slayer, breaking world records everywhere. The mangaka earlier we said was in the Times 100 Next list, also ended. Chainsaw Man has a anime adaptation.
And they were selling manga like hotcakes too.
Yes, and technically part 1 has ended, and they will announce part 2, but let's just say part 1 has ended. So, Promised Neverland, it's airing right now, season 2. Regardless of how you feel about it, or how I feel about it, season 1 is really good. It has ended already. There has also been several other casualties of the lineup that, for one reason or the other, is just not in the picture anymore. My Hero Academia is still on there. I just feel like it's irrelevant now. Not irrelevant now. The term Shonen Big Three is not only irrelevant, but it's really difficult because Demon Slayer, as you said, the anime is still ongoing. They announced a season 2. Haikyuu is ongoing, but the manga has ended. So when you say the Big Three, do you mean the manga Big Three, or do you mean the anime Big Three, or do you combine the two? Because as we said earlier, a good section of the anime population just watch and does not read. They know what manga is. They may have read manga here and there, but they're not diehards.
Like, for example, like Dragon Ball Z, right? Or just Dragon Ball in general. We know that there are a load of fans that love the show. I don't know if many people have read the manga. But
I have not read the manga.
But the manga has sold almost like 300 million copies. Granted, over the span of like 30, 40 years, but that's a lot of manga in circulation. So, like, I think we need to, really step back and just see the whole landscape as objectively as possible. It's hard, I know, because of the fact that for us, we both have affinities to certain mediums, right? We do love our manga, but sometimes it's just much easier to get sold on an anime, especially if it looks pretty like Demon Slayer, especially if it looks as hype as Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, dude, both of us have read Chainsaw Man, but we are so fucking excited for when the anime comes out. Especially because for me, like, it's
Mappa Boy.
It's Mappa. Mappa are gonna. Well, I hope they kill it. I hope they do. It's a crazy time to be an anime fan, because if we really take into account what's been happening behind the scenes, specifically within the manga industry, as you mentioned, right? Certain shows that are super hype are done. Haikyuu's gone. Demon Slayer's gone. I think, for the sake of the argument, Chainsaw Man Part 1 is gone, and we don't know when Part 2 is going to come out.
Right.
I think that they're probably going to be rolling out a couple of episodes, maybe 1 or 2 seasons of Chainsaw Man first before they make an announcement. I think maybe even at the end of Season 1 or maybe Season 2, they'll announce Part 2 of Chainsaw Man.
Well, no, they did announce Part 2, but whether or not when it will be released.
when it'll be released, the release date, I mean. So they talked about like what the arc is going to cover, but we don't know when the manga artist is going to start actually serializing it. So that one's still to be decided. But so we've seen now, right, some of the most popular ongoing shows of today, the original source is gone. Shonen Jump is a bit of a bind right now because outside of One Piece, outside of Dr. Stone, outside of
I forgot about Dr. Stone.
Don't forget as well, like Promised Neverland, that one ended, right?
Mm-hmm. No, Dr. Stone did not end.
No, Promised Neverland.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Stone's still ongoing. There's rumors that My Hero Academia might be ending soon.
Right.
I mean, it's getting to a point now where I think you're probably running out of stuff for it, and they might want to end off with a bang. But yeah, like, we're starting to run out of stuff.
And to make matters even more gray, Chainsaw Man is technically not in Weekly Shonen Jump anymore.
It's moved over to Jump Plus,
which is their online exclusive platform, which also houses Spy X Family. And the reason why we love Spy X Family is not only because it's good. It's sold, I think the first volume sold around 440 something thousand copies.
It did phenomenally.
And that's digital. In Japan, where digital is still a barrier for entry for a good section of people who adore physical media. I mean, the fact that Japanese people still care about Blu-ray sales for anime just tells you how much they cling on to the physical copies.
So you know how there's like 5 or 6, I think 6 volumes of Spy X Family, totaling around, I think right now they're at chapter 40. As of the end of 2020, they've sold 8 million copies. They've only been running for a year.
That's insane. They don't have an anime adaptation yet. I would wager that they have to have an anime adaptation sooner rather than later. It's good. Yeah, you guys should read it. Spy X Family.
It's a really fun time. I think that if people were to actually get onto the manga train, not a hard one. Also, I'm gonna try and predict the future. I think Wit Studio is gonna pick it up.
Sure. Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Right. So, as you can hear, it's a long discussion, but hopefully we can try and clear up what the big three sounds like, especially in today's world. I mean, what do you think your big three right now are? Do you think that the big three still exists? And if you do have a big three, why don't you just let us know? Drop us a comment and let us know what you think the current top big three. Doesn't have to be Shonen, Shonen Jump, or Shueisha. It could be any property whatsoever.
So, Will, I know I was heavily resistant on naming big three of the modern generation, but what would you say is the big three right now?
Are we saying like properties in general, or do they
whatever you want?
Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, and One Piece.
I would say.
Sorry, no. Actually, no. I replaced One Piece with My Hero Academia.
Oh, you, God damn it! I was gonna say Jujutsu Kaisen, One Piece, and My Hero Academia.
So not Chainsaw Man yet, then. Only because right now maybe it's the only one that doesn't have an anime, therefore it's a little bit harder to judge.
Yes,
probably. Okay, yeah, I think that's a fair argument. But you can see it's hard, right? There, you can make an argument for some shows. Some shows we can just completely write out. Like I don't understand why Black Clover is considered in the show, just because it follows a similar volume and it's WSJ.
Let us know, because I have not read it.
I have not read or watched
it. Yeah, I mean, we haven't even talked about Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah, that one's gotten a lot of popularity too,
and is on Netflix.
Maybe I'll check out some episodes.
Yeah, and report back. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. Right. So, what do you think? Do you think that the future of the big three will still hold the same weight as it did back in the 2000s?
I think a big three is a historical term that can only be attributed to One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. I think there's way too much competition, way too much good quality anime and manga out there. The barometer of digital versus physical is so hard to gauge and so hard to determine whether or not the stats are even accurate. So I think it's just more of a history lesson and education rather than an actual debate on current relevance.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to ask me like what the big three is, I probably would still say One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto.
Same here. Absolutely. 100%.
Right? And then there might be some asshole that would be like, yeah, you know what? Like, my one is Black Clover and Boruto and some
No, man, it's Fire Force, man. It's JoJo. It's JoJo.
Hey, okay.
Hey, yeah.
I don't want to make an argument for JoJo.
Oh, I've been waiting to say
because
that.
JoJo is in a class of its own.
Oh, I've been waiting to drop the JoJo line all episode. Okay, all right. I guess we'll wrap it on JoJo.
Yeah. So let us know what you think your top three is, your big three. Difference, right? If you think, even if you don't think that it exists anymore, what do you think right now are the three shows that are driving the industry? And do you think that there's going to be anything new that'll come up, like from a manga, that could probably change your list again? I mean, every year something new comes out, so who knows? Something awesome come out again.
All right, so that's probably the end of our segment and our final thoughts. Just a little bit of housekeeping. You could always reach us through our email at gapalette@gmail.com. That's GAPALETTE@gmail.com. You can reach us through Twitter at PaletteGood. You could visit our website, www.goodanimepalette.com.
It's a very nice website.
It is a very nice website. I designed it from scratch. I loved it.
Yeah, from scratch, from a template.
Yeah, but still, hey, zero background in web design, okay?
That actually was pretty awesome, actually.
We also have a YouTube channel where you can...
We are actually on YouTube now.
But there is no video. It's just our audio. So if you want to consume our podcast through YouTube, by all means, you can do that. You just search, you'll find it. We also have a Discord server, and you can find details of that either on our website or we'll include it in the show notes. So if you want to come join us, talk about anime, tell us how wrong we are about anything, tell us to check things out or not, or just want to have a chat or tell us what your thoughts are, suggestions for topics, anything, to be honest.
Or if things have been a little bit tough and you want to cry a little bit, we can arrange an Anohana viewing.
Anohana Memorial.
An actual viewing. We can watch a couple episodes together and just cry.
Yeah, we could do that.
A group cry on Discord. Just release those emotions.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'm still so tilted. Oh, God. Okay. Music credits. Our intro is Green Lights by Jahzzar. You can find that at the freemusicarchive.org. Our break is Min 2019 by minwbu. And our outro is What You Thinking, the instrumental version by Wataboy. You can find our break music and our outro music at pixabay.com.
So, this has been a fun episode, especially for me. I really enjoyed being able to talk about new shows that I've been watching. Who knows? There might be a few more bombs that we're going to be dropping in the next couple of episodes.
My train of thought has been halted because of this. I thought, hey, how bad can this surprise be? Oh, God.
Initially, what did you think it was? I think you mentioned like your Lie in April or Haikyuu.
No. I said Haikyuu. I said, what did I say? I said one other one that you were considering. Higurashi?
Oh, yes, when they cry.
Yeah, I thought that would be, because that's topical considering what we have been discussing for future topics.
It's funny that all those shows are like, Your Lie in April, Haikyuu, Higurashi, they're all on Netflix.
Yeah, so God.
Just Spice and Wolf is on Netflix.
Yeah, okay. I also thought about
Planet
that
and After Story are on Netflix.
If you were to watch that, I'd be super pissed. Like, super, super pissed. I mean, I'm pretty pissed
Planet
about...
or?
Yeah, Clannad, because...
We can watch that one together.
Yeah, because I don't want to watch that alone.
It did leave me very, very lonely and empty when I realized I had just cried for 5 minutes after the end of the last episode of Anohana.
Yeah. You remember that feeling. Remember that dread. Remember that depression. And that is how the Edgelord is. So
that's how I felt when I realized that a Tokyo Ghoul anime existed. Just dark and depressed, lost, lonely.
Okay. We had a fun time recording, and
we're gonna. I think we do like it when we go into more sort of like analytical, historical kind of topics. Really trying to break down certain tropes, certain topics within anime that usually has been discussed over like the past couple of years, but putting our own spin on it. We hope to be able to roll out a few more of those, and maybe just have some more fun episodes. I think we do have a discussion about a specific topic that one of our guests would be very interested to roll out with. So we'll let you know when the episode comes up. But until then, hope you have enjoy the rest of your weekend, or it's actually no, coming out on Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. Coming out on Tuesday. Oh my God!
Enjoy the rest of your week.
We record on a weekend, guys, because
Yes.
we have jobs and school is a job too. So
yeah, so hopefully you enjoy this on your daily commute or maybe before you go to bed. If it helps you sleep at night, great. So we'll catch you very soon. Okay?
catch you on the flip side.
All right. Thank you.